Tell you something, brother.
Who are these people?
Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
Don't be rude.
Who are these people?
Who are these people?
I love the don't be rude.
Yeah, don't be rude.
Welcome to episode 22, Pro Wrestling Talk.
Yeah,
I'm Angel Rivera, your host, alongside my co-host, Mrs.Witchy Perfect, and special guest this week, Snow Himbo on the bottom. Welcome, and hope everybody is going to enjoy the show. Thanks for joining me, Snow and Witchy. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm actually surprised at my own wording that I'm actually going to be watching Summerslam. Holy cow. Because the only SummerSlams I've ever seen are the ones in the 90s. And then, of course, in the late 90s with Stone Cold and The Undertaker when it was like the highway to hell.
Oh, yeah. I remember that era.
And that's like the last SummerSlam I think I've ever seen was the 98 and 99 ones. And then that's it.
Wow.
So I shocked myself, guys. I shocked myself. I actually watched clips of Raw. I'm like, ooh, rewind. Oh, yes.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's SummerSlam next Saturday. And, I'm actually looking forward to it for the first time in years. So that's exciting, like.
And we're going to go over the card, right? And
yeah, we're going to do that now.
Okay.
And then go from there. Snow, you want to jump in whenever.
Oh, yeah. In. Please don't.
Yeah.
If you want to say stuff, just say something.
Well, I'm not the shyest person in the world. Hey, everybody. Snow Himbo here. You're probably sick of seeing my face by now, I imagine. But, yeah, so a background on me in wrestling. I used to be, myself and all my friends used to be fucking obsessed with what I guess I would call the golden era, like the golden era of wrestling. I'm sure people like generationally probably view it differently. I'm sure a lot of older people view like the Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Superfly era as like their golden age. For me, the golden age was like Gen X, Undertaker versus Mankind. Oh my God! Like the
Cage, baby. Oh my God! He's dead this time. I swear.
Yeah. Hey, go check to see if he's alive. Yeah, the Hell in the Cell era, the debut of Kane, the Stone Cold versus McMahon saga, which in my opinion was probably.
I love
that. Was probably. Yeah, that was probably one of my. Yeah. I think everybody was. That for me was like the golden. That was like the golden age. Austin versus McMahon was one of the most like compelling storylines. Mm-hmm. I mean, when he gets fired and then he beats him up in the he knocks him out with a bedpan. Like
bedpan.
Mick Foley comes in. Mick Foley comes in. He tries to cheer him up with Mr. Socko, and he's so over it. It was that was the golden age for me, but somewhere down the line I kind of just drifted. I don't know. I just drifted away from it. Got more into like video games. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm super curious to see like where it's at in 2024. Apparently, Triple H is the boss now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's a long story, but yeah, he is the boss now.
Yeah.
Did Vince retire? Is he just like working behind the scenes? He doesn't seem like someone who'd ever retire. I feel like he's going to go to his grave doing this shit.
It was like more forced retirement, yeah. Especially with the scandals that had come out about him and this Janelle Grant, and then also some other ladies had come forward about allegations, allegedly, that, stuff happened allegedly with Vince McMahon. And it had to do more with like he was using funds to pay off these ladies. Like he was using company funds to actually pay off these ladies. So
of course.
Yeah.
Sexual misconduct. Vince McMahon sex trafficking scandal. Okay. Yeah. I did not have that on my bingo card.
Allegedly.
That's what took him down.
That's what took him down, and it was more forced retirement.
Yeah.
But now that I can honestly say, now that Triple H has taken over, it's like done a complete 360, and it's completely different. Or I should say 180, because 360 comes all the way back around, but a complete 180, and the storylines are starting to make sense. And they actually have wrestlers, unlike AEW, where you're like, is that a guy a wrestler, or is he just a puny pussy guy? I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, they have 150-pound wrestlers, and they call themselves entertainers. I'm like, no, no, no.
No.
The entertainers in our business were like 200, 300 pounds, and it was all muscle, right?
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, maybe they got maybe the new guy at the helm. He has more time to like focus on like the business because he's not sex trafficking or. I'm reading this on Wikipedia and I'm like, what the fuck is all this? There's like a novel on all. He's got his own article on sex trafficking. Oh no!
It's
allegedly.
Is it all allegedly?
I'm clueless, but it's just hilarious.
I don't know whether Reef saw your message or not. I mean, you may have to reach out to him more directly if you need to talk to him, but I'm just saying. Just wanted to acknowledge your message there. Yeah, so it's not just that. I mean, go back to the 80s and the early 90s. And
what we would call the rock and wrestling age.
Yeah, I mean.
And the territories.
I mean, the Ring Boy scandal from the early 90s.
Yeah,
the steroid
that was
scandal.
with Pat Patterson and someone else. I forgot his name now.
Terry Garvin and Mel
Terry
Phillips.
Garvin, Terry Garvin.
And Mel Phillips, the black ring announcer they had there.
Yeah, any relation to Ronnie Garvin? I hope not. For Ronnie Garvin's sake.
I don't know, but yeah,
I like Ronnie Garvin. He was pretty cool.
That Ring Boy scandal was, I don't know how that didn't take Vince down. I mean, that was horrific.
Yeah, that alone. That or the Jimmy Snuka thing that not Trump. Sorry. That Vince McMahon covered up. He made it go away for Jimmy Snuka in 84.
That was 83.
83, excuse me. I was close.
Yeah. No, because the story real quick behind that was, well, in 83, this is before Hulkamania, and Jimmy Snuka was one of his top baby faces. And Bob Backlund was the champion. So
he couldn't afford the bad press.
So a woman, what was her name?
Sandra?
No, the woman that Jimmy Snuka murdered or killed or offed, whatever.
Deleted. He deleted. Oh, geez, I can't remember her name.
I have to.
I want to say Sandra, but that doesn't sound right. Maybe was it Kathy? Tammy? No.
Now I have a dumb question.
All right, here's a dumb question.
Is there a difference between a baby face and just a face? Because we always just said face.
Nancy Argentino.
Yeah, so baby face is basically a face. So it's just a shorter term for baby face. And a heel is the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. That's not a dumb question.
Nancy Argentino was her name.
Nancy, yeah.
Oh my God, that's what heel face turn means.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I just had I know everybody's just face bombing right now, and they're like, he's really leaning into the second part of his name here. Yeah. It's advanced himbo activities. But yeah, that's crazy. Heel face turn.
Yeah, because I talk about all the time. My favorite wrestler is Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect right there. And I always talk about his face turn when he went back right before Survivor Series 1992. And it was a great face turn. I think his face turn was just as good or better than the NWO heel turn that he had in 97 at Fall Brawl. When he turned to the NWO for life, baby. For life. NWO.
There's been a lot of crazy ones. I remember when Austin, I forget the specifics, but he had a heel turn at one point, and he was like,
yeah, that was an oopsie. Should have done that.
2000.
Yeah. To boo Austin.
As WrestleMania.
Because
he was the biggest face in the world, and nobody wanted to boo him at all.
Well, yeah, and it's like when you're playing as the anti-establishment, against the corporate awful guy, you can't just make him a bad guy.
Right.
Like, because you already got Vince McMahon and his crazy. Oh man, that guy must have drank so much coffee. You remember how crazy he'd go? He'd go like red in the face. He would just like, screw you, Austin, you're fired. Like the thing he did with his voice, where he's like, yeah,
Yeah, fire.
oh my god.
You're fired. And then he comes back out on Raw and says, it was better than sex. I went, no, I don't think anything's better than that.
No.
And that's
My
when
man.
he actually made Vince pee his pants in front of the world, supposedly. And he's like, we'll have a t-shirt that says Vince McMahon said, or Vince 316 says, I just pissed my pants.
I remember that. We were talking about it in grade school. Because what we do is we'd always watch like Monday Night Raw, and then the next day at school, that's all we'd fucking talk about all day.
Yeah.
We just talk about wrestling and like where we think the next storyline is gonna go. I don't know. Maybe Vince McMahon meant it was better than sex trafficking, for example, instead of better than sex.
Allegedly.
That would be hilarious if he was like, it was better than alleged sex trafficking.
That was just a promo that he cut, and he had all the people out in the ring, all the wrestlers in the ring and stuff. And yeah, I remember I was about 12 years old when this happened, so I was in middle school, and I just remember laughing hysterically at the whole when he takes Vince McMahon captive. Oh my god, I can't tell you how hard I was laughing at all of that. It was great TV. It was great storyline because I didn't get along with my mom, so I lived vicariously through the NWO and Stone Cold. So, and I love the NWO mostly because Kurt Hennig was in it. So he made the NWO cool. And we're just about to episode 44 of my Kurt Hennig Was the Best Changed My Mind podcast is going to be when Kurt takes Arn Anderson's spot, okay, in the Four Horsemen. And then this doesn't make any sense, Snow, but I mean, I'm sure if you ever saw WCW as well, it didn't make any sense. The storyline didn't make any sense, but it was Eric Bischoff, okay, all Eric Bischoff. So Kurt was like dragging his feet. He really didn't want to join the Four Horsemen. He wasn't Four Horsemen. And then like 2 weeks before he was supposed to go to the NWO at Fall Brawl, no one knew this, of course. He joins the Four Horsemen because Arn Anderson comes out, excuse me, and says, I'm going to give you my spot. He was the enforcer of the Four Horsemen. And if you watch it, it literally, Kurt's face doesn't match his response. His face is like, really? I hate you. But he joins the Four Horsemen, and then on Rumble we're gonna watch the NWO parody that the NWO did on the Four Horsemen. And let me just say, first off, Buff Bagwell makes a very horrible Kurt Hennig. They don't look the same. But those were the parodies. This was the parody before the DX parody on the Nation of Domination, and then the corporate ministry or the corporation. So if you ever if you remember like the Croc, remember when Triple H came out and he dressed up like the Rock and he called himself the Croc?
Oh I remember that.
All based on the NWO parody that
and
Sean Waltman had done several years beforehand.
I think Triple H was the one who did blackface too, and Mark Henry, didn't he?
No, that was Sean Waltman.
Oh, it was X-Pac. Yeah, that was X-Pac. I knew one of them did blackface.
I heard he got taught how to do that by my prime minister, actually, who is the champion of blackface.
But that's what started the whole thing of the parodies is the NWO parody on the Four Horsemen. And like, I mean, if you ask Ric Flair or even Eric Bischoff, Eric's like, we shouldn't have done that. Why? It was funny. It was supposed to be comedy, you idiot. Don't apologize for doing something right.
Yeah.
And it led to those other parodies.
I remember like kind of tuning in and out of WCW. I did watch a bunch of it. There was like Kevin Nash. There was Scott Hall. Sting. There was Sting. He was cool. He was really cool.
I hated Sting.
I don't really know a lot about him past that. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I just couldn't get into it the way I got into WWE or WWF. It's still weird calling it WWE. I'm too old for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's WWF to us too. So, I
And a
mean,
lot of times I say WWF, even
WWF. Yeah, we say
E.
WWF. So,
Nobody's talking about the World Wildlife Fund, people. Come on. God
That's why
damn it.
supposedly he lost that because
Yeah.
he lost that suit
Yeah, I
because
know.
of the World Wildlife.
Like
Should have just been like, listen. We do wrestling, okay?
Wrestling.
That's way more important than saving endangered animals.
It's like, okay, here is some money, whatever. Like, you should have bought the WWF name from them instead of just changing to E, but whatever.
Yeah, by the way, Angel, feel free to like keep us on track. I am riddled with ADHD 24/7, so I will derail us into talking about some kind of scenario with like sea lions on Jupiter, and if they can like debate in the water. Just yeah. It's
Well, we can talk about old wrestling and new wrestling. I mean, we have like what, an hour and so many minutes now. So I mean, if you want to talk about, my favorite wrestler right there. Yeah, I mean, we showed clips of Kurt's one promo, and this week or not this week, maybe tomorrow or next week, I'm going to go full on picture only for Rumble. So you'll get to see me and my pretty little face. You'll get to see I'm going to do a bunch of promos, and then we're going to watch the match between Kurt Hennig and Lex Luger on Monday Nitro. This was after Halloween Havoc, but before World War III. WW3. I can't even say it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to preview SummerSlam, which is next Saturday. And oh, by the way, we won't be on live next Saturday. We'll be on Sunday next week, so around 7 probably. But yeah, I'm just letting the audience know just in case. The few people that are here. Most people roll in later, but for now, just... All right, so let's get into... There's 7 matches on the card as of now, which is higher than what Triple H usually books, which is like 5. But
yeah, like 5 matches.
It's 7, but that's fine, whatever. It's SummerSlam. It's in a football stadium in Cleveland, so whatever.
Well, and they have more greater storylines to tell. I'm sure Cody is matched with what's his name, and I'll give my thoughts in a minute. So go ahead, Angel.
Solo. Well, the first match listed here is the world title match between Damian Priest and Gunther.
Okay, so they're gonna start off.
I don't know if this is the match order or not, but this is just listed randomly. Okay. So
well, then I'm picking. I don't know. This one's a tough one because I still think Damian Priest hasn't had time enough with the belt. But then, why would they rise up, or why would they give Gunther the shot? So
who is
what
Gunther?
do you think? Gunther is a like a German heel. Like, in the 80s, it was like the Russians. He's like equivalent to the Russians, but now he's like a German heel.
Yeah.
What do you say, Angel? What say you?
Gunther is like, he's like your Fritz von Erich, but without the racism. That's basically
or the
Nazism. Yeah, not without the overt racism.
Without
like Fritz von Erich.
Nazism or racism.
That's not the best way to describe him. But yeah, I mean, part of me thinks that Gunther should get this title, but maybe he won't get it until the Germany show at the end of the month.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I don't see it yet.
They're having a show in Germany on August 31st, which is my birthday, by the way.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah, they're having a show in Germany on the 31st, so that's why I think he'll get it most likely. But for now, I'm just going to say Damian Priest retains.
Yeah, me too. I just hope Damian doesn't botch anything else like he did at Money in the Bank. For heaven's sake, count 3. It's Damian Priest's fault for not kicking out. Kick out next time, dummy.
Yeah,
and that was a big botch, and that was a oopsie. Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. All right. So next match I listed here is Bailey, the champion, defending against Nia Jax or Nia Jax.
Yeah, this will be
whatever
the
her
only
name
match
is.
I don't watch because it has girls in it. I'm sorry, ladies, but if I want to see titties, I can look down. Okay. What say you, Snow?
I
Two
remember
men.
being
The two men
really
can talk about this one.
I remember being really interested in the female wrestling stuff when I was
boy.
younger, but I feel like there was only one reason I was interested in it, really.
I can think.
I was at that age I had just like hit puberty and shit, so I'm just like
Yeah.
and all of a sudden like Sable comes in and Trish Stratus and all these other ones and I'm just like
So you missed the
what are
Sunny?
those?
What about Sunny?
I kind of remember Sunny and oh god,
Luna
who's that one?
and
Who was the puppies chick?
Deborah.
Yeah.
That's before she started
Deborah.
messing with Stone Cold. Those two got married for a brief point. She left her husband, who was Steve Mongo McMichael, in '98, and then married Austin in like '99, I think, or 2000. So yeah, she was messing with Stone Cold, and then like I guess Austin had said something to Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett talked about this. He like said something to Jeff Jarrett about it, and they split them up. So Deborah actually hit Jeff Jarrett in the head with his own. Remember that where she hits him with his own guitar.
Yeah.
That was
Oh, wow.
that's when they split them up, and that's because that's Stone Cold's will. That's what Jeff Jarrett says, so that's according to Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
Yeah, I believe that. So Bailey versus
she actually
Nia.
did come out with puppies one time, like in her hands, like two little puppies.
Which is where that joke came from.
Fuck you, Deborah.
Man, I can't believe they got away with that back in the day. It was just like it's like blatant.
That was Vince Russo. All in all, it was Up and Up, and it was Vince Russo. That was like he had a thing where he wanted like all these busty women to come out and and pretend like they were wrestling. I think you heard about this on Jim Cornette's show, Angel. Remember that busty? I forgot what it's called now.
Yeah, that.
But they wanted all these busty chicks to come out and like pretend to wrestle. There was one where one lady had some amputations or something. She was like a hillbilly and she had amputations.
Yeah.
She had like jugs up to here. And I'm like,
weird.
oh, come on. That's like
it was just weird.
Yeah. It's like all this dude's fantasies come to life in one little segment.
Yeah, ultimately, I think that Nia Jax is going to get this belt because she's Rocky's cousin. So that's what I think.
Yep.
And ultimately, that's what I think is going to end up happening there. But we'll see. Another championship match, this time for the other women's world title, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley.
See, I'm going to comment on this because I'm watching the love triangle that they have going on between Ripley, Liv Morgan, and Dominic, because Dominic just told Rhea Ripley, or just told Liv Morgan, go take a fucking hike, bitch. You've been fucking ruining my life, and I just got my Rhea back. I want my Rhea. That's literally what's going on. He literally just did that on Raw, and I was watching that over and over again going, okay. And she's like fake crying. She's like, I'm just like, oh, go away, bitch. And then Rhea licks him and then kisses him on the cheek. I'm like, okay. And then they walk away and they're all happy.
I smell some kind of betrayal there from Dominic. He's going to side with Liv eventually.
You think?
Yeah, at SummerSlam. Yeah.
Okay, well.
You got to keep this belt on Liv somehow. There's no way she can beat Rhea Ripley credibly.
True. I still say Rhea gets it because she's coming back. Because she came back.
Maybe, but I think they would want to elongate this angle, make it, put a little more heat on Liv before Rhea gets his belt back.
Well, he was speaking in Spanish, and I'm like, please, English, please. Sorry, English, please. I think he was still saying, you messed up my life. You messed up my life. I think that's what he was saying in Spanish. I don't know. I know basic Spanish. But it was like, English, please.
Well, But I think that Liv is gonna get this belt, and then Dominic's gonna side with her, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden we'll have them together with the rest of Judgment Day, and
Yeah.
Rhea and Damian Priest will be kicked out and be baby faces, and they'll feud with each other.
Now I didn't see the Judgment Day versus I didn't see the match. I just saw like the beginning and then the after of the Sami Zayn thing. But I think Braun Breaker also came out, right? And Raw to get Sami Zayn, or he
Yeah,
did
at
a
the end
promo
of
on him.
yeah,
Yeah,
because Sami Zayn and Jey Uso went on last against the Judgment Day. Then after they
right.
beat the Judgment Day, that's when Braun came out to murder him basically with a spear. So yeah, so
That's
I
good.
think
I look forward to that match between him and Braun Breaker again.
we'll get to that match in a few. But the next match listed here is Cody Rhodes, the champion, versus Solo Sikoa.
Oh geez, Cody all the way.
The ch- and
Cody all
yes,
the way.
and Cody is Dusty Rhodes' son, Snow. So if you just think
Yeah.
you
So
recognize
this
that
is
name,
yeah,
like,
this is the other
Okay.
son of Dusty Rhodes, and he is so. We're gonna talk about this probably on Rumble. Maybe you could show the clip, Angel.
yeah, yeah.
But Cody Rhodes, he's doing his daddy proud. That's all I'll say. He's doing his daddy proud.
Cool.
He's the or WWE champion. See, that did it
Yeah,
again.
it's okay. It's okay. WWF, fuck it.
Just don't say WCW. That's
Hey,
yeah.
from WCW,
Hey, hey, CBC, thank you for joining us.
ACBC.
Yeah,
Howdy, howdy.
so you predict Cody. I think, yeah, Cody will retain, but I'm sure there's going to be bloodline melodrama with Roman Reigns coming back, and maybe
You
get
think Roman
15,
Reigns is
20.
coming back?
Well, yeah, they would have to set up that bloodline civil war story that they've been teasing
Right,
now.
between him and Jey Uso, because Jey
Hmm.
just kind of said, "I am the tribal chief." Haha, bow to me. Kiss my
Yeah,
ring while you're at it. And Paul Heyman was like, no.
yeah, and they put him
They
through the
like
table,
put
and
him through the table, and they did that to Cody too. I was like, what?
yeah.
What is this? Okay.
So they're establishing that the new bloodline likes to put people through tables, which is fine. Maybe it gets some heat, but at the same time, it's like the reason why Solo's
Lame.
getting heat is because the reason why Solo Sikoa is getting any type of heat because he's calling himself the tribal chief, and the
Right.
fans don't like that. Obviously, they want
Right.
Roman's the only tribal chief, so
Right. So he's the
he's-
resident heel at this point.
yeah, so he's a heel because he's calling himself tribal chief, not because I
Right.
think he's really over as a heel, but
And here's
but
the kicker, Snow. We have second generations. Well, technically, isn't I don't know if Haku had any real kids, but he's adopted two Haku. It's like his uncle or something. So I don't
yeah,
know, like if
Okay.
Haku had any real children.
Haku adopted multiple kids.
Yeah.
His brother's kids because I don't know where his brother went, but he raised Tamatanga, Tongaloa,
Yeah.
and Jacob Fatu is his father is the Tongan kid, so
Yeah.
it's another part of their family. You know, the entire family's in wrestling basically, one way or another. But
Yeah, I mean, I heard a story from who was it? I think it was Larry Sabisco was saying, or someone was saying, like, don't get in a room with the Samoans because they snore like a son of a bitch. Just get a room by yourself because if you get ones with the Samoans, you're literally not going to sleep because they will saw wood all night. Oh shit!
yeah, Cody
There's a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
If someone's been out of the pro wrestling loop for like decades, how would you recommend they get back into it? Just out of curiosity. So like a recap? Do they have some kind of like recap of like, here's what you need to get caught up? Because I feel like if I tuned in like lately, I'd just be like, who are these people? Literally.
Well, you could ask someone. I actually
Yes.
I mean, the only wrestling I will watch or would watch is old wrestling like 89, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. And then I'll jump to WCW 96, 97, 98, 99. Also WWE during those years. So I think you could just ask someone like I know who Cody Rhodes is because I know who Dusty Rhodes is. I know who Dustin
Gotcha.
Rhodes is or was. Dustin Rhodes was Gold Dust. And I think
Oh
Cody Rhodes
shit, that's
tried.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cody Rhodes
Dustin
tried
played
to be.
Goldust.
Who did
Oh,
Cody Rhodes try to
Goldust.
be? What was it?
uh,
Stardust.
yeah,
Was it
Vince handed him
Stardust?
Stardust. It was an awful
Okay.
gimmick, but yeah, in his first run.
And here's
I
how.
remember being so weirded out by Goldust. All of us were at
Right,
school. We were just
because
Yeah.
like, what is
he was
going
meant to
on?
push that gay button. It was meant to push that
Yeah.
gay button, but uh, as Vince described it, eccentric. He was supposed to be
Okay.
eccentric, but he was meant to push that gay button, kind
Yeah,
of
it
like
was
in our era of Adrian Adonis, who
Adrian
just literally
Adonis,
said
yeah.
in a promo, "I'm gay." That's literally what he said in a promo.
And that
So it
got him
was meant
heat.
to push that gay button, but yet,
Gotcha.
not really say he was gay. Dustin didn't say he was gay, but
Yeah,
Adrian
Dustin
Adonis
never.
did.
Yeah, but that got him heat. Adrian Adonis in the '80s. I mean, that got him heat.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
Big
booed
time.
out of buildings because he just said he was gay.
Yeah.
A different
time.
time in America, of course, but
Well, it's still when you could put down the gays. I mean, that was still
Yeah.
a thing in wrestling where you could put down gay people.
Mhm.
Still the Russians in the 80s, you could put down Russians because, the Cold War and stuff.
yeah,
So, I mean, Nikolai Volkov, he was part of the Bolsheviks. So they're right there, like Nikolai Volkov and Boris Sukov was the tag team, and no one
Mhm.
liked them. So you could still, they had a tag team called the Conquistadors. And I mean, it's like you could still rag on the Spanish, I guess, a little bit. So, but like, to be honest, no, I missed this guy's son who was Joe Hennig. I missed his career. I should go back and watch it. I would rather see Kurt because they didn't do anything with Joe, and his career didn't really go anywhere. Not as much as Kurt's did, but they at least gave Joe the belt, the Intercontinental Championship, just like they did with Kurt when he was in 90 and 91. He was the champ until he hurt his back, and then he gave it to Brett. So
Okay.
yeah. That I watched Joe Hennings, or his name was Curtis Axel in WWE.
Curtis
His
Axel,
career,
yeah.
and Vince did nothing with him for the most
Third
part.
generation.
It was like,
He was
oh
third
yeah,
generation.
they gave him some shitty name, Michael McGillicuddy initially.
Yeah.
Like
Like, what the fuck?
that's Mr. Perfect's son. I mean,
Yeah,
you can
that's-
just see it in his face. It's like,
Well, and they said,
why the
well,
hell
why
you
would you
give?
just name him Mr. Perfect Jr.? I'm like, no.
No, that wasn't gonna work.
That's awful. No.
Yeah.
And I love Joe Hennig. I really do.
Yeah.
But I mean, no.
He
The
was
Curtis
good at-
Axel thing, his father's name was Kurt Hennig, so Curtis
Yeah.
for that. And then
Uh-huh,
Axel
Axel.
because his grandfather was known as the Axe, Larry the Axe Hennig.
Yeah, so Axel, it fit him better, but it still did nothing with him.
Yeah,
I mean,
they did. I mean, they gave him the belt. That's
They
about
gave him
it.
they gave him Paul Heyman, and they gave him the Intercontinental. I'm like, okay, maybe Vince is trying to use him. Like, that lasted like 2 months before Paul
2
Lee was
months,
gone,
yeah.
and the Intercontinental was gone, and nothing. He just did nothing the rest of his time there.
Yeah.
I just wish that he was maybe 10 years younger. Maybe he'd be in this era, because Triple H probably use him way better than what
Yeah.
Vince did. But
And I thought maybe, we would hear some rumblings from Joe, maybe to come back now that Triple H has taken over. But I haven't heard even a rumbling of it.
no,
But
I
like,
don't-
there's a
I haven't
lot of,
either.
to be honest, no, there's a lot of second and third generations. Randy Orton is third generation. The Tonga Kid, second generation. Braun Breaker, second generation. Cody Rhodes, second generation. So The Rock would be third generation. His daughter, who runs NXT, would have been fourth.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of, with the Samoans or the Samoan area from that Hawaii territory that closed down, came to WWE and made names for themselves. So then you have a lot of second generation superstars coming in. The only ones I'm interested in seeing, and he is second generation, is Braun Breaker. He is Rick Steiner's son. He looks like a wrestler. He is built like a wrestler. He acts like a wrestler. His promos are right there. And you can tell the second generation guys because they literally watch their dads. So
Yeah.
So I think you could pick it right back up, Snow, to be honest.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might
Good.
check it out sometime. So here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the older-ish wrestlers, how many of them are still wrestling? Because the last time I tuned in, Ric Flair was still wrestling, but then he retired. Undertaker, I feel like Undertaker went really long until like he had to retire.
Taker retired at the pandemic around 2020-ish. Ric Flair retired a few
But he
years
still wants
ago.
another match. Idiot.
Yeah, he did a Ric Flair's
He
final
almost
match.
died 3 times in the freaking ring.
He did a pay-per-view called Ric Flair's Final Match, which got a lot of buys, which was surprising to me. It's like
I wasn't much for Ric Flair, Snow.
Yeah,
I can't tell you.
that was a few years ago. Hogan is still angling for another match, but who's gonna sign Hogan to another match?
Goldberg too is looking for one, and I hate that dude.
Nobody.
Yeah, Goldberg was always like, he didn't really have much to his character. I always remembered that. It was like,
because he really didn't know how to wrestle. They just kind of told him a few moves, do this, do that, and then get out of there. Because his matches consisted of like a minute.
Yeah.
If you watch his early matches in WCW, they were like a minute long or maybe less. Because he didn't really have any moves. He had like 3 moves.
Brock is still under contract, so he might be back soon.
Yeah, technically Brock could come back.
Brock Lesnar, yeah.
Brock Lesnar.
Damn.
I don't know.
I can't think of anybody else who would be working.
I don't know of anyone. I mean,
Dustin.
Randy Orton is still around. John Cena is doing his farewell tour this year
That's starting next year. Yeah, he's doing his farewell tour.
So John Cena.
Yeah, but how's anybody going to see him?
Boom! You can't see me.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't much for John Cena.
I'm not going to lie, that Bing chilling shit was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I didn't expect that on my bingo card. When John Cena's just like super involved with like China and doing all this shit over there, and I'm like, okay, that's out of nowhere, but all right, Bing chilling. Get that bag.
Yeah.
So, yeah, other than that, I mean, everybody else is finally out of wrestling pretty much.
Yeah.
Dustin Rhodes, Cody's brother, is still in AEW, but I think did he sign? I think he may have signed an extension or something like that.
I don't know, but I know he has a wrestling school too. So
yeah, the Nightmare Factory or something.
Is that what it's called?
Well, that's what
it's called. It's called the American Nightmare.
Yeah, no, that's what it's called. Cody was in AEW.
They should make a federation for all the like super old wrestlers who still want to wrestle. They could call it LAWF, the Life Alert Wrestling Federation. I think it would really take off.
Alert. Well, I mean, if Kurt Hennig, wherever he is, if he was still alive today, I think he'd still try to wrestle, and he'd be probably in damn good shape to do it too.
How's Jerry Lawler doing? Do you guys remember when that guy had a heart attack like in the middle?
Yeah.
That was
and then
nuts.
he had a couple of strokes too.
He had a stroke recently. He's still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive. And Jim Cornette said on his show that he still wrestles too. There's it's been 40 years, and he's had at least one match in every year since 40 years ago.
Yeah,
or 50 years ago.
In every decade since the last 50 years, he's had at least one match.
Yeah.
And man is 74.
Yeah, he did that Andy Kaufman, when Andy Kaufman came into wrestling. He did that Andy Kaufman. Yeah, he had a Kaufman Lawler feud.
Yeah, I remember that.
Jimmy Hart was also in that. Jimmy Hart.
So Lawler's still around. The WWE won't put him in the ring anymore after that happened.
They even X'd his contract for commentating because he really hasn't been the same since that stroke. So it doesn't surprise me that they won't let him be a commentator either.
No, I mean, and with a stroke, he had 2 strokes recently, and that's affected his brain. So it's unfortunately. But yeah, getting back to this, Cody Rhodes will retain. We'll get Bloodline melodrama. That'll go on last probably. And
Yep.
then I don't mind the melodrama; it's actually really good because the bloodline stuff usually is great. But yeah, I mean, we'll get that at the pay per view.
So, how
And
much are you betting that Roman Reigns will come back?
it's a pretty good chance, unless they save it for Germany.
I would think maybe they'd save it just for Germany, just for, oh no, a surprise.
Yeah, because everybody's
Maybe.
assuming he's going to come back at SummerSlam. They might push it back a few weeks.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
do it
what I
in
was
Germany.
thinking.
But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that he'll come back at SummerSlam. Doesn't mean he will. They probably would maybe, push it off until Germany at the end of the month. But yeah, that's Cody Rhodes will win. The next match listed is Logan Paul versus LA Knight for the U.S. title.
I really don't care because this is the U.S. title that used to be in WCW, and Kurt Hennig used to have that title. And I mean, everyone since has kind of been, in my opinion, because Kurt Hennig was Mr. Perfect. So in WWE, he was,
Himbo Slice should be Himbo's wrestler name. Dropping my like.
Himbo Slice.
Oh, there you go.
Well, thanks for the comment, Sean.
Himbo Slice. I like it.
I don't know. We already had like so many token Canadians in wrestling. We had Bret Hart.
Bret Hart.
We had, and I remember Bret Hart had a feud with like, who was that American, the super American dude?
Oh, the Patriot.
I remember the Patriot. Yeah. So it was like a Canada versus America sort of little feud thing. That was interesting.
Other Canadians, Owen Hart, of course.
Owen Hart, yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Ronnie Garvin was from Canada, so was Dino Bravo. Ronnie Garvin was billed from North Carolina, but he actually was from Canada.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else.
Pat Patterson is Canadian, or
Is
was
he?
Canadian.
I didn't know that.
Man, you know what's crazy? I remember going up to our property up in Muskoka. It was kind of out in the wilderness, if you will, because I'm a bit of a wildlife dude. But I remember our family rented that exact pay-per-view where he lost his life. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were all just watching.
Over the Edge.
99, yeah.
Yeah, it was 99.
And then it just, like, you saw the beginning of it, and then it cut away, and we were all confused. We're like, what happened?
Yeah.
And then they're trying to report through it, and it's like, they're working on him, something else happened, and then I remember it was Ross. I'm pretty sure it was Ross who finally announced it. They're like, Owen Hart has died, and we're just like, what? Wait, what? What happened?
I spent that whole entire Raw crying. I spent the night after that Raw, that tribute to him. I just spent the whole night crying.
They announced it that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember feeling bad because we all called him a nugget. We were all calling him a, like, when he's like, I'm not a nugget. And we're like, you're a nugget.
I'm not a nugget.
Owen was great, though. But he's great.
No, he was.
Yeah. So
that whole Hart family was great.
Yeah.
Oh, they're phenomenal.
It was they had the first match. Owen was the second match as the Blue Blazer when that gimmick. He was doing that gimmick. And
again,
he fell down. The camera cut away for a long time. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I watched it too live. I'm like, what's going on here? And then eventually, towards the end, later on, JR came on. It's like, this isn't part of the show, and I have the unfortunate duty to report that Owen Hart has died.
Yeah, and you could see it in JR's face.
And by the way, here's the next match.
Yeah.
Like, really, the show continued. Like, wait, why is the show continuing?
Yeah, I mean, because you could, they showed Jeff Jarrett and Deborah, and they're like, we're really praying for, this is before they announced that.
Yeah.
We're really praying for you, Owen, we love you. And you see Jarrett pacing back and forth, and why is the show going on? We should be worried about Owen Hart, that kind of thing. And then, they cut to JR having to, but you could see he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to tell this information. But they had to. Yeah.
Yeah, they had to. And Kevin Dunn,
I remember,
he's like, hey, I'm JR. Owen died. You're on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're on. Like, the director,
Yeah.
like one of those things. He didn't even care. He's like, "Oh, Owen died. Tell him Owen died. 5-4. You're on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1." It's like he couldn't even.
Yeah,
JR couldn't process it.
I remember us all being really confused because everybody was like, "Wait, why is this show going on?" And then you look later into like all they did a documentary on it. I'm pretty sure, and some other stuff, and it turns out like he didn't even want to do it, and it was like, I don't know, that whole thing. I just remember feeling like really fishy. I was like, "This is." I don't know. This whole thing's kind of sus. Like, how did this happen? What happened here?
Well, and I had Bret Hart's book, and I read most of it. And what happened was they actually had, and I've seen those documentaries too. Vince at the last minute suggested a quick release, which malfunctioned, and literally that's why he fell, because it just quick released, and then he, there was nowhere to go but down. They had used it with I don't think they've ever used it, but they saw what happened with Sting, because Sting was having trouble one time getting unhooked when he would come down from the rafters,
when he was Crow Sting.
when he was Crow Sting, and it literally was Vince's idea to have a quick release, that way Owen wouldn't be sitting there trying to get it off. But that's the problem, is it was a quick release, and it released when it shouldn't have, and that's why he fell.
And they hired a rigging company who was cheaper. Vince wanted to save money, so they had no experience with the quick release mechanism too. So they just did it, and it was like, it happened what happened, unfortunately. And that show was main evented by Austin versus Taker for the WWF title, I think.
Yes, it was. Yep.
And they went out and had I remember, a great match, but the pay-per-view's never been seen again. Like, it's been buried in Stanford, buried in the archives.
I don't even think that you can get it on Peacock. I haven't really looked for it, but I mean,
they buried it. I mean, it's like you're never gonna see that pay-per-view again, unless somebody at WWE leaks it. But I don't think that's gonna happen either. So,
and the only thing I kept thinking that whole night was, oh my God, what is Bret gonna say about this? Because Bret was in WCW at the time.
He was in WCW,
and he was in and out of the NWO. I know on my birthday in '98, Bret Hart turned to the NWO. He actually helped Hogan win the belt back.
Yeah.
And then in '99, he kind of like went in and out of the NWO, and then he was NWO. So they kind of did what they did with Kurt Hennig with Bret Hart. They didn't know what to do with a Kurt Hennig or a Bret Hart, so they just kind of made it up as they went. So,
and Vince said something, told Bret Hart, and Bret Hart told the story like, "Oh, WCW wouldn't know what to do with you, so I'm not that concerned."
That was right before the screw job. Yep.
Yeah. So he wasn't really that concerned about Bret going in WCW becoming a bigger star, because they knew that Eric Bischoff would fuck it up, and he did fuck it up. So
and he did. He did it for both Kurt and Bret.
Yeah.
Because none of it made sense. The only thing that made sense with Kurt was the West Texas Rednecks, because Kurt liked country music. Though Kurt didn't really want to do it, because he thought that they should be higher up on the card. But the great thing about the West Texas Rednecks was they were against rap music. So everyone who hated rap music and loved country music, they were baby faces to those guys.
Ironically. Because they were supposed to be the heels in that
They were supposed to be the heels, yeah. But, I mean, there was just a loving of country music. And then, of course, with Kurt singing Rap is Crap, that fit Kurt, because he loved country music, and all the guys from Texas loved country music. But I mean, Kurt has admitted in many interviews that he's a lover of all music. It was just to counteract the rap.
Yeah.
So
Logan Paul, YouTuber, is the U.S. champion in LA Knight. I mean, I think LA Knight needs to get this belt, because he's already been beaten multiple times, and he needs something.
I'm just going to sit there going, when's the next match? I don't really care about this match, but I will say, yeah, LA Knight needs to do something.
They need to do something with him. He's still over. I mean, after he's been beaten like a rug lately with he hasn't really done much ever since the Roman Reigns match last year. And it was in Saudi Arabia, I think, when he did that match, but they really hadn't done much with him. All right, the next match listed here is Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, defending against Braun Breaker.
I say Braun Breaker takes it.
He has to take this match.
Yeah, he
because
has to take this match.
I defended it last month when he lost because the way we saw the match, I thought Braun Breaker took 90% of the match and beat up
Yes.
Sami Zayn
Mhm.
into that one mistake, which led to Braun Breaker getting beat, which is fine. But he can't get beat again by Sami Zayn.
I mean,
so
not in Canada, so they're not. Oh, there's a Canadian for you there. Sami Zayn
Sami
is
Zayn, yeah.
Canadian.
Kevin Owens too is also Canadian, but
Yeah. So
French
they
Canadian.
didn't
They're
want
both French
him.
Canadian.
Yeah. So I mean, they didn't want. Also, the Rougeau brothers were from Canada. They were French
Yeah.
Canadian.
Mhm.
Anyway. Yeah. The thing is, I think that Sami Zayn politicked and didn't want to lose in Canada. It's kind of like the whole Bret Hart thing. Didn't want to lose
Yeah.
in Canada. But I think this time, since they're not in Canada, it's not really his crowd. I think Braun Breaker takes it.
Yeah,
I
they
look
have
for good
to.
things for here because this is the Rick Steiner's son. That's Braun Breaker. So
He has to get this belt. And ideally, I would do it like the way they did with Cena and Brock Lesnar 10 years ago in 2014 for that world title. Brock just killed Cena in literally 5 minutes. That was that main event of SummerSlam that year. And John Cena got no offense whatsoever in that match. So it just Brock came in, beat him up, killed him, pinned him, and walked out with the belt in less than 5 minutes. It was a shocking main event. He would do that. And John Cena would agree to it too.
Right. And Braun Breaker's such a beast. I mean,
yeah.
They
That's
should
why I'm
give
thinking
Sami
this
Zayn
match
a
should be.
little offense, but I mean, give it to Braun Breaker because he is one heck of a good-looking kid. He's only 21, but he's still. I mean, I would say he's better than his father, and I wasn't really much for his father or his uncle for that matter. I didn't even like Scott Steiner when he went to the NWO. I was like, no, thank you. So, but if you remember the Steiner brothers, they had a little bit of a stint in the WWE, and then they also had WCW. I wasn't much for the Steiner brothers, but Braun Breaker is Rick Steiner's son and has just completely amazed me. I'm just like, holy crap, he looks like a wrestler. He does wrestling stuff. He does wrestling holds.
So the way I would book it is like they did that match, but maybe give Sammy something. I mean, even though I wouldn't have any problem, they give him nothing.
A little bit.
Because
do they still have the? Is the Rey Mysterio type of wrestlers still active? I forget the name. There's a name. There's definitely a name.
The Lucha
Libres. Yeah, Rey Mysterio himself is still active.
Yeah, I
thought that guy was always dope.
Seen his son. I like the Luchas. I like the I also like Ultimo Dragon. I loved how he was like a true Japanese wrestler.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio is still active, and Rey recently finally put over Dominic Mysterio's son in a match, I think 2 weeks ago on Raw. He finally put him over. He's like, "Well, I'm not gonna let my son beat me."
Yeah,
he
Dominic
beat him 3
is his
times.
son. Yeah.
But yeah, I digress.
Nice.
I mean,
so there you go, second generation again in WWE. Even though Rey Mysterio was more WCW, when he went to WWE, he just took off. And yeah, the Lucha Libre is still around. It just kind of isn't. It's like a skeleton of itself.
Yeah,
they kind of ruined it.
Yeah,
it's not the Lucha Libre you remember. No, yeah,
especially in AEW, but we'll get to that later. So the last match listed here, which it's either this match or Cody's match has to go on last. It's CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as special referee. So it was announced on Raw on Monday that Seth Rollins will be a special guest referee for this match.
Yes. And like I said, that jacket was eccentric.
Yeah,
how far did he chase a gay guy for that?
Yeah, you kept saying that. I didn't see the jacket until later on in the week. So, oh yeah, I mean that is kind of flamboyant, let's say.
Yeah, it's flamboyant, all right. Oh, jeez.
Hi, Lawrence.
Oh, hey, Lawrence.
Thank you for joining us.
I don't know, Angel. What say you? We'll do you first.
CM. Well, it's they can take this multiple ways. Seth Rollins being involved is interesting. I mean, I said to myself before Monday, like they got to make a special guest referee. I don't want a 3-way because I hate 3-ways anyway. So it's like, stick him in as a referee, and that's me and Triple H think alike. I mean, I was just thinking that to myself, But yeah, I mean, I digress. Who wins? I don't know. I mean.
That's one of this if and what and buts,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, it depends how you want to think about this, because if you want, they could do the SummerSlam '97 deal with Undertaker and Bret Hart with Shawn Michaels special guest referee.
They actually people on X were comparing that match to, and they were sticking like Shawn Michaels was Seth Rollins, CM
Yeah.
Punk was Brett, and then the Undertaker was Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I mean that I didn't see that, but I'm sure people have been doing it, because that's what I'm thinking. They can do a deal where CM Punk's arguing with Seth, and then Seth has a chair and wallops McIntyre, or they do some deal, because they don't do chair shots to the head anymore. But they could do some kind of deal where McIntyre gets laid out and Punk, covers him, and Seth is forced to count him down, even though he doesn't want to.
Even though he doesn't want to, but Shawn did for Brett, even though
he didn't want to either.
He didn't want to. I say CM Punk because he wants to get that bracelet back, because that is personal to him. It has a picture of his wife and his dog. So, I mean, it's personal now. I mean, I love Drew McIntyre. He looks like a wrestler, acts like a wrestler. Yes. But I just think CM Punk has to get that bracelet back. So I say CM Punk.
Yeah, I can see that, but also I think McIntyre needs some kind of win, because he hasn't gotten many of those lately. Especially how many times Punk screwed him over, at least 3 or 4 times. And I'm not much for CM
Punk either.
But yeah, I get like I don't know. Is it if I go back and forth on that one? It's like, oh well, Punk's got to win this, and oh no, but McIntyre should win this because of.
I think we'll leave that one kind of like up in the air.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because but like you said, with the bracelet, Punk wins. Gets revenge on McIntyre. But then what happens with Seth Rollins? What role does he play here in this match?
Well, he's going to turn on CM Punk, I think.
Yeah.
Well, he'll turn on both of them, but he already hates, I don't think he has any. Does he have any beef with Drew? I don't think he has any beef with Drew.
Well, Drew McIntyre beat him for the world title at WrestleMania, if you remember.
Okay. So they had that match, both of them.
But he had that match. But I don't. Other than that, I don't know whether there was actually beef between the two or not. I mean, it's just more like, you beat me, I don't like you, whatever. It wasn't personal between the two.
It wasn't personal like it is with him and Punk.
But Seth Rollins doesn't like CM Punk because they've had incidents from 10 years ago, right before Punk left WWE the first time when he walked out.
Well, they also have the fact that Punk screwed McIntyre, or not. Well, he screwed McIntyre, but he also screwed Rollins. Yeah. Now Rollins can never be champ as long as Damian Priest is champ.
Yeah, which is why I suspect once Damian drops the belt, that whole thing is that point's moot, because now he can contend for the title again.
Right, and I think, I mean, but he still lost it to Punk, or because of Punk, he still lost it because eventually Damian Priest would cover McIntyre.
Yeah. So that leads Seth Rollins away from the world title picture, and so he takes care of his business with Punk, however long that takes.
Yeah.
So that's why I started to think Drew would get the fall just to set up Punk versus Seth Rollins at some point down the line.
Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. Hi,
what are you doing?
Oh, my cats are probably scratching at the wall. Bobby, let us in. Go away.
So yeah, that's the 7 matches listed as of now. Could they add a match or two during Raw and SmackDown this week? Maybe, but I don't think so, knowing how Triple H books it has less matches with longer
Isn't NXT
match time.
Before
NXT, no.
Don't they have any matches?
No, they usually have their own separate shows. They don't really have matches.
So they also have their own separate pay-per-views, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do one soon. So if I remember correctly, but yeah, so that's SummerSlam 2024. I assume it'll
Alexa Bliss is growing on me. That's Brian Pillman Jr. Or not Alexa Bliss. What the heck's his name?
Alexis King.
Alexis King. I was close. I had the Alexis right.
Of course, Alexis King.
Bliss is a girl.
Yeah, it's like Lexis King.
Well, anyway,
That's his
Brian
name.
Pillman Jr. doing some
Mhm.
good work in NXT.
Yeah,
I
he
look in
is.
a couple years of seeing him on the main roster.
Yeah, and AEW proceeds to do nothing with him for like two. They put him in a Varsity Blondes ripoff or something.
Yeah, that was
You know,
stupid.
no, did nothing with him for like a couple of years.
And that's something his dad did. But I mean, when Austin was in WCW, that was kind of that thing.
Yeah, it was like a Hollywood Blondes ripoff, but it
Yeah,
wasn't
if you
even
can
anywhere
imagine
near as good.
Stone Cold with hair.
Stone Cold with hair.
Stone Cold
In
with
the early
hair. He was
90s, yeah.
in the early 90s. He was in WCW and he was called the Varsity
Excuse me
Blondes
one
with
second.
Brian Pillman Sr. And now, yeah, and Austin had hair about down to his shoulders, or was a little longer than his shoulders.
Oh God, I'm looking at pictures. That looks so weird.
I know, because we're
That's
so
the
used to
weirdest
him
thing
with
I've
a
ever
bald
seen.
head, right?
Oh, he looks like he works at a department store. That's fucked up.
Yes.
He looks like a manager at at like a furniture store. He looks like a furniture store
Yup.
manager.
That
Exactly
was
what he looks like.
That was before the bald head. And we remember him as with the bald head and being Stone Cold. But when he first came in, he was also called the Ringmaster. And he sort of had hair, but then he just shaved it all off and just called himself Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because his second wife was English, and she would always say, "Drink your tea before it gets stone cold," and that's where he got Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Wow, I never
Yeah.
knew that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how some people they just look better bald. Like you can't picture them with hair. It's like for a lot of people, it's like they obviously look better with hair, but then you see some people who are bald with hair, and you're just like, oh no, that's just weird.
We got a troll here. Pro wrestling is gay. He's like,
Hey, if you
okay.
don't like it, leave. You can leave the chat anytime.
Yeah, so I just noticed that. I sat that not how long that I've been there.
It's
But,
gay, and that's why we love it.
Not because
Well, that-
we're gay or anything.
yeah, so that was SummerSlam 24. So, yeah, that. Oh, I'm assuming the show is going to be good because WWF shows have been good lately. So, for the most part, I do have my pet peeves, but modern wrestling
still do it, because you
modern
still have
wrestling
the
mostly like bleh these days. But
because you still have the Jim Cornette still calling out the Uncle Howdy and the Six. So like when
Wyatt Six,
the Wyatt Six. So when the ring fills up with smoke and then this zombie woman comes out, they were talking about it. I didn't see it, so I can't really knock it or like it.
At
So-
first, yeah, I'm starting to go like, okay, where are they gonna go with this? At first, I give it a chance. Okay, good promo by Bo Dallas, good promo by this guy or whoever that is. But it's like it's been weeks, and all they've done really is give videotapes to Michael Cole, and they play it on Raw, and and they're good promos. I'm not saying they're bad, but it's like what, and they're just beating up Chad Gable for no reason. So it's like why they have a problem with Chad Gable?
Yeah.
And Chad Gable hasn't really been used like.
Did he have a beef with maybe Bo or maybe Bray Wyatt?
Before this, as far as I know, no. Before this, no. It was just apparently Chad Gable was the false prophet that Bo Dallas doesn't like, so that's why he's going after him. But it still doesn't make much sense for me. Cowboy, I love you too. Thank you for joining us. So
hi, Cowboy.
Hey, buddy.
So yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't understand where they're going with this, and I still really don't. It's like it seems like more like a psychological horror thriller, just stuck on Raw for no reason. I mean, we'll see what happens with it, but it's just like it feels like a movie. Like one of these movies, like
that are like based on a true story.
Yeah,
it just kind of weird. Yeah.
It feels like a psychological horror thriller and stuck in the middle of Raw for no reason when they're trying to, be more sports based than WWE with Triple H booking it. So, yeah, just, it doesn't fit the show. But again, it's not bad. It's just that it doesn't fit today's WWE. It fits Vince McMahon's WWE. if it's Vince McMahon's WWE, and excuse the
Yeah, 'cause
motorcycles, I got people.
Vince McMahon's WWE was like the boogeyman. I could not stand that dude. He come out like with worms in his mouth, and I'm like,
Yes.
what is the point of this? I don't even like this dude. It wasn't
Oh,
scary
yeah.
at all. Like when I was 6, I mean, you're talking to a girl who used to sit and watch Tales of the Crypt by herself when I was like 5, 6 years old. You know,
Oh, that was such a dope show.
I
Oh my
love
god, it
Tales
was
of the
so
Crypt.
good.
And I mean, I didn't find the Undertaker. And if you watch Paul, I didn't find Paul Bearer scary. I found him funny. He's like, ooh.
He was just such a weirdo. He was just this like
You couldn't
quirky,
help but start
weird, like
laughing at
high
him.
pitched, like I feel like he, if anything, he was like to balance out the Undertaker. I always thought the Undertaker was just, and full disclosure, of all time, the Undertaker is my favorite wrestler. It's not even close. I think he's
Mr.
easily one
Perfect
of the
is
best.
mine. Ouch.
I do see that.
Yeah, as if you could tell, I have pictures of him on my pillowcases. Yeah.
But I mean, for the Undertaker, I just felt that like he always seemed to put on like an A+ performance for every
Yeah,
match.
Mark was
B,
good
for
as the
someone-
Undertaker.
For someone who's how tall is he? 6'11" or something. He's like 6'11".
Yeah, 6'11".
Yeah.
That move he did where he would like walk along
On the rope.
On the rope, I'm like, this is a 6'11" person. This is the equivalent of like Muhammad Ali. Kind of how like Ali was like actually like a heavyweight, but he didn't move like a heavyweight. He moved like a lightweight. Same thing with the Undertaker. It's like, how are you doing like all this aerial shit? You're like the size of you're like the size of a Titan from an anime.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And that was Mark's ability to just literally take that character, even though everyone thought it was like a lame character. They thought it was a lame gimmick and that he would never make anything of himself, and he took it, and that was Mark's talent alone, that he took it and made it something worth. I mean, because you had the spooky Undertaker, supposedly the spooky Undertaker, and then the badass Undertaker. I like the spooky Undertaker better. I didn't like the badass.
I didn't get the biker thing. It was just weird. I was just
he
like,
wanted to do that because he was into bikes, bikers, and he was into Kid Rock and stuff because Kid Rock did his opening. So I think that was like his what I would call a midlife crisis thing with his gimmick. But
it just
some
had
people like the badass.
It just had so much divorced dad energy. I don't know how else to explain it.
Divorced
It was just
dad.
like heavy divorced dad, HVAC business.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a first wife, and then he also had a child. I think he had a child with her, and then he has a second wife, and now they have a child. So he was married before. So I got that too. Like it was like a divorced dad, biker, midlife crisis kind of thing.
Yeah,
it was.
So I want whatever audience we have. I want whatever audience we have here to start migrating over to Rumble.
Go to Rumble, guys, because we're gonna start showing clips.
It's like 9:12, so it's like, oh shit.
Say how big it was again, Himbo, slowly. I think you got a fan there, Snow.
I always do.
McMahon's Evil's mustache is back, so yeah.
I love this guy.
Haven't seen him in a few
He says
weeks,
the funniest stuff ever.
But yeah,
because,
start migrating over to Rumble.
Yeah, please go to Rumble. If you're not already there, go to Rumble.
Let me put the link to the Rumble there here in the chat.
And I just want to let
everybody
everyone
a few minutes.
Yep. So I just want to let everyone know that literally I'm going to start doing Rumble stuff, and I have an interesting story that I heard on X, and I asked the person who tells the story, I asked him over his X if I could use it, and he said, yes, go ahead, use it. So I have a very interesting story about Kurt Hennig running into someone in an airport. So stay tuned. You're going to see that episode probably in like mid-August.
Okay.
But it's a very awesome story. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, so we're going to the Rumble now. So the link's in the chat. you guys want to go over to Rumble. I'm also live on Kick and Twitch, and we'll stay there, but let me just do that too. So that's my Twitch. If you haven't subscribed, please do. My Kick. In fact, I don't have. I had like one follower there. I do use it. It's just that, and so that's my Kick. And I think that's everything. So start migrating over to those platforms. I'll click off of YouTube now.
Well, bye YouTube if we don't see you on Rumble.
Just have a nice weekend. Oh, by the way, before we go, next Saturday we will not be doing pro wrestling talk as scheduled. Summerslam, we're doing it Sunday, probably at 7.
And we will review it. So we'll review SummerSlam.
Reviewing SummerSlam. Hopefully D will be able to join us for that one because because he is back around doing stuff. He couldn't be here today, obviously. So why can't I find? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so that's next week. August 11th, which is a Sunday for Angel in the afternoon. I'll be having on Kit Cabello of Harlan's Media.
Kids.
We'll be previewing the DNC Democratic Convention, and we'll be talking about everything that leads up to it in Chicago. So look forward to that. Angel in the afternoons every Fridays at 7, most of the time. Hopefully I can have on Karen next week, but I haven't heard from her yet to confirm that. So, but I'm pretty sure she'll be on next week, so I'm looking forward to that. Kit Cabello's coming on the 11th, and I think that's pretty much it for my shameless plug. So, if you want to do before I click off here, you want to do something, Steph or Snow or whatever.
Yeah. So, if you, like I said, so Kurt Hennig was the best, changed my mind. We got some great stuff coming up. If you would like to, actually watch videos with me, we're going to watch it on Rumble only. So I'm going to do visual stuff only on Rumble. You get to see my pretty face. I'm going to record that probably either tomorrow or next week sometime. But, we got coming up, like I said, episode 44, which is the, Kurt Hennig takes Arn Anderson's spot. If you go over to Rumble, you'll get to hear the NWO the NWO parody. And also I rant for like 30 minutes afterwards of why I don't like Arn Anderson, why I don't like Ric Flair, and why I think the NWO parody was something that was worth it and not this, oh well, we shouldn't have done it because people didn't like it. People liked it, okay? It was funny. So that's coming up this coming Sunday. I should upload that to YouTube and then also Rumble, but Rumble has that purity exclusive. So if you want to head over into Rumble, you can hear it. And then also, of course, next week we're going to be on Sunday instead of Saturday. With my other one, Black Magic Talk, we have another special guest, but I don't remember their name. I'm so sorry. That usually happens because they're mostly Matt's friends. So but for Black Magic Talk, we will have another guest on and we'll learn more about them. I think we have one more guest, and then I think we just are gonna do other topics like we might do some more tarot readings because I'd like to implement that more because that does go into it. I want to say we're having a special Halloween edition of Black Magic Talk. We're going to actually have Sonia Smith on. She's actually going to do a seance with us on Halloween night. So that's going to be interesting. So if you guys want to check that out, it probably will be uploaded November 1st or 2nd.
Don't you mean Samhain? God.
Samhain, yeah. What's wrong with Samhain?
Yeah. Isn't that Halloween? Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah. Basically, almost.
Vince McMahon's evil mustache. The last time I did visuals, I ended up gangbanged. I loved it. Okay. Well, with that, we'll click off of YouTube now and go over to Rumble.
And then videos. Videos.
Yeah, so you stuff were talking about the Cody Rhodes thing they did in Japan, which is really nice. I did see that.
It was really sweet. I thought it was really, really sweet.
Yeah, where they gifted him his dad's Dusty's robe.
That was so awesome.
Yeah.
And
So
this little Japanese girl comes in. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be Cody Rhodes."
yeah,
It's like,
I don't know
oh
if I
my
have that
god!
one. Yeah, I don't know if I have that one, but yeah, I do.
Because
I
back
do
in the
have,
territory, Snow, Dusty Rhodes had kids fill up the ring after he won the belt. He had kids fill up the ring, so this was kind of like essence of his dad. It was
Aw.
like essence of his dad, all around.